Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the Ask Managers subreddit. The post is titled, "Just received an unsolicited spicy photo from employee," followed by an apology. "I'm the general manager for a corporate franchise breakfast restaurant. It's basically just me in management in-house. I have 2 kitchen managers, but they are more lead cooks than anything. I handle all the scheduling, hiring or firing, disciplinary actions, etc. It is corporate owned, so I have a regional director and there is an HR department at the head office. One of my kitchen employees just sent me a picture of her breasts, followed by an apology and saying she won't be coming in tomorrow. What do I do from here? I'm thinking I should obviously call HR on Monday morning and report this through them. What should I do beyond that? How do I fully protect myself in this situation?" Userfund Breadfruit said it was a genuine accident. Reply back, photo deleted, won't discuss it with anyone. This never happened. Feel free to come to work tomorrow. I once mistakenly sent a photo of my penis to my accountant on a night out. Her reply the next day was, "Yes, you can expense the dinner recipe, but no, you can't expense penis enlargement surgery." We never spoke of it again. User Cyberlick said, "I'm a senior manager for a very large corporation, and I've had this happen to me. HR is always there to protect the company, not the employees. Regardless of what everyone else is saying in this thread, only you know your company and the people involved. While the correct answer is to go to HR, it could lead to trouble for both of you. As a manager, one of my responsibilities is to protect my employees, and honestly, in my view, that includes protecting them from HR. Is this lady trustworthy? In my personal experience, the person this happened with was very trustworthy, and I 100% knew it was an accident. I spoke with her directly, saying that I knew it was an accident, but that I needed to protect myself. I planned to send a text saying, 'I know this was an accident and I've deleted the picture. Please be more careful in the future,' and I asked her to reply acknowledging all of that. I took a screenshot, blurred the name, and scheduled a meeting with HR. I told HR that I wanted to ensure there were no repercussions for my staff member, so I was not going to reveal her name, nor was I making a complaint. I continued by saying that I wanted to ensure the company was protected just in case, so I retained screenshots of the exchange and brought it to their attention. My HR rep acknowledged the embarrassing incident, agreed that it seemed to be an accident, and assured me there would be no follow-up. They thanked me for letting them know. If you think you can trust the lady and trust HR, it's not a bad idea to proceed like I did. It protects everyone in this case. If the lady isn't trustworthy, definitely go to HR first thing. If HR isn't trustworthy, then you're in a bit of a pickle because they may overreact. However, not telling them leaves you exposed in the future. Update. I made a post a few days ago asking for advice about having received a picture from an employee of her topless, followed by an apology. I got a lot of great responses. Most people said what I was thinking: cover yourself and report to HR. Many suggested I let it go and simply inform the employee that I knew it was an accident and had deleted the photo. There were also a handful of people who didn't understand why anyone would report that, saying I was a bad person for even considering it. Additionally, there were a bunch of comments and questions about the photo itself, asking to see it if it was nice, etc. You know, pretty much par for the course on the internet. I felt like I should update you all. I ended up emailing HR the next morning to let them know what happened and to ask for advice. This was on a Sunday morning. I also sent a text to my HR rep informing them that I had sent an email. HR got back to me soon after. The gist of the email they sent me was that I should meet with the employee in question with a witness present and let her know about the possible consequences of her actions. They advised me to explain the risk of sending pictures like that over the internet, remind her that they last forever, and that once they are out there, she has no control over what happens to those pictures. I was also instructed to discuss the potential repercussions for the person receiving them if someone else, like a partner or a boss, sees those pictures on someone's device. Finally, I was told to inform her that I would be placing a disciplinary notice in her file to emphasize the severity of her actions and that there would be consequences if this happened again in the future. To preserve the employee's dignity in front of her colleagues and to alleviate some of the embarrassment from the situation, I didn't want to involve one of the kitchen managers, especially since they are both male. So I arranged for my HR rep to come down and meet with her on her first shift back after the weekend. My HR rep is also female, which felt more appropriate than meeting with another man. I asked HR to meet me at a cafe across the street to avoid any questions from staff or any chance of being overheard. There isn't much space in my tiny office for 3 people, and I didn't want to sit in the dining room and risk being overheard or making the employee feel more embarrassed than necessary. The employee was admittedly embarrassed, but very receptive and appreciative of how we handled it. She was convinced I was going to let her go. We reiterated that we were not, just crossing the T's and dotting I's. I couldn't not report this, but I also didn't want to involve anyone she has to work with, hence HR's presence. I showed her my phone and reassured her that it had been deleted right away and not shown to anyone. However, being corporate, I had no choice but to have what happened documented. She had no issues signing her warning. Overall, it was a good way to bury the hatchet and eliminate any awkwardness. I feel much better knowing that the situation is entirely above board. I think everyone sleeps better tonight because of how it was handled. But let me tell you, I lost a lot of sleep over this in the last few nights. I imagine she must have as well. Thanks everyone, keep it classy. This story was made in the Relationship Advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "My wife says I don't have the right to be upset about losing our child. My wife and I have been together for 6 years and married for 2. We have always wanted kids but decided to wait and not rush at the start of our marriage. The pregnancy came as a surprise, but it was a very welcomed and happy one. Everything went smoothly throughout the pregnancy. There were never any signs of issues. We decorated the nursery together and put up the furniture. We were so excited to meet our baby and become parents. She carried to term, and on the day of the birth, everything seemed okay. However, when she gave birth, we didn't hear any crying. We were so confused, and you could see in the doctor's eyes that they were very concerned. I can't begin to explain the heartbreak when we were told that our little girl didn't make it. We were able to hold her, and she was so beautiful. A funeral home offers a free funeral service for little angels, so we buried ours, just the 2 of us. I have never seen a casket so small. I have been trying to be strong for my wife. I only cry when she's not around, so when she needs me, I'm there. It's been hard to stay strong when she's crying in my arms. Seeing her like this adds to the pain. Last night, I couldn't hold it in any longer and started bawling with her. She didn't like that at all. She began saying that I was trying to make it about me and that I should be the man and support her. She also said that I don't have the right to be so upset because I wasn't the one carrying her and giving birth. Then she went to bed and left me there. I know she has it worse than I do because she carried our angel and gave birth to her. I just didn't expect her to react that way. But I lost my daughter too. I wanted to be a father. I didn't get to change her diaper for the first time or spend my first sleepless night with her crying. I lost her too. I understand that my wife is hurting, which is why she's reacting this way. How can I support her better while also letting her know how I feel in a way that doesn't seem like I'm taking away from her? User Amanda B said, "First off, I want to say I am so sorry that you and your wife are going through this. I think you have been supporting her while trying to be discreet about your own pain. But sometimes the grief is too strong. I even think deep down she knows that you also have every right to be just as sad. You are carrying the grief for both yourself and your wife. I don't know what it's like to lose a child, but maybe talking to someone separately to express your grief might help. Then perhaps a session together when you're both feeling stronger. I wish nothing but the best for you two." User Fancy My Church Pants said, "Your story sounds so similar to mine. Full-term pregnancy, delivery, no crying. My baby didn't make it. It was the hardest, most traumatizing experience of my life. There was probably a short period when I felt that nobody could possibly feel the pain I felt. After all, this child grew inside of me. I felt his kicks and pushes. I could almost determine personality traits just from his time in my womb. This didn't last long though. I realized that my boyfriend was grieving too, and grieving in a different way than I was. It was hard to deal with someone else's grief when you are so filled with your own. I cannot express how important it is to seek therapy, individually and together. This is something that will affect you as a person and as a couple, and the best way to navigate it is with the help of a professional. My heart hurts for you both. You will never get over this, but you can learn to live with the reality and find ways to lean on each other. This will always be an experience shared between you two, and you need each other. Blessings to you, friend. You are in my prayers." Update. First of all, I want to say thank you for the help and advice. I tried reading as many comments as I could. It's a lot to get through, and I appreciate the support. I read a few comments that sort of blame me for my wife's reaction and assumed that I treated her pregnancy and the birth as if it weren't a big deal. I'm not sure where I implied that. When I say that the pregnancy went smoothly, I meant that the doctors never found any medical problems and that both of my girls were healthy. I have never once dismissed that experience, and I never will. If I treated everything she went through like it wasn't a big deal, I wouldn't even be here asking how I can make things better for her. I also never equated our pain. I believe what I wrote is, I know she has it worse than me because she carried our angel and gave birth to her, and I know that my wife is hurting, which is why she's reacting that way. How do I support her better while also letting her know how I feel in a way that doesn't seem like I'm taking away from her? I'm not sure where I equated our pain. If anything, I am diminishing my own pain in order to support her, or at least I tried to. Even after what she said, I wasn't mad at her. I was hurt, but I wasn't angry. I know she said it out of pain. It still hurts. I didn't need to read that I'm a piece of *T husband who doesn't care for my wife because I'm also grieving the loss of our daughter. I see her every day. I see the pain that she is in. I hear it. I can't begin to imagine it, and I will never fully understand it. I know that what she is going through is worlds different from my experience. If I could take all her pain and put it on myself, believe me, I would. No question. What I also didn't need to read is how my wife is evil and other countless mean words. That wasn't the point of my post. It wasn't to boost my ego or bash my wife. It's incredibly rude and unhelpful in every way. I asked a question because I was at a loss and didn't know how to proceed. My wife isn't a bad person at all. She's an amazing woman who honestly deserves the world. She doesn't deserve this at all. Thank you to those who acknowledged what she said, but also didn't speak ill of her. It doesn't make me feel any better having people say those things about her. She's not abusive or a monster. It made me sick reading those comments. It's upsetting that I even have to say this, but it's the internet. I get that. Apologies for the rant. I just wanted to let off some steam. I've always felt the need to be Superman. When I was 16, I lost my father, and it was extremely hard on my mother and me. I had to be her rock then, or I would have lost her too. This caused me to act out in ways people would call evil toward others around me. I've lost friends because of that. I held it in at home for my mom, and it came out in an ugly way. I can understand why my wife is reacting this way, and I'm not gonna leave her over this. That was never my plan. I want to be there for her, but I don't think I can be there for her the way I've been before. I can't carry the weight of both our pains on my shoulders anymore. I'm barely holding on right now. It feels like I'm in a speeding car with no steering wheel or brakes. I haven't mentioned anything to my wife about her comments, and I don't think I'll do so right now. I'll be looking into counseling to deal with this type of situation. I also want to look into some counseling for postpartum depression for my wife. I've heard stories of how heartbreaking it can be when it isn't taken seriously, and I don't even want to imagine it. I hope we find the help we both need and that we can come together eventually. Our friends and family have been by her side as well. They call and text her often, and her mom and sister come over too. I'm happy that she's getting extra support. I wish I were doing more for her myself. It didn't occur to me how me crying in her presence could make her feel worse. Now I feel guilty, like I'm failing her. It would be nice to get a check-in from our loved ones once in a while, but she needs it more, so it's okay. I want her to get the most help possible. As stupid as it may sound, having strangers tell me that it's okay to cry made me tear up a bit. The only person in my life who has told me that is my father. Whenever I'd get hurt as a kid, instead of telling me not to cry, he'd say that it's okay to do so. He's the type of man and father I aspire to be. Hopefully, with outside help, I'll be stronger for my wife. Thanks again. I love my wife and want us to get through this and come out stronger together. I love my daughter, and she will forever be my firstborn. This final post was made in the relationships subreddit and is titled, "So it turns out it's not that my father didn't want to have anything to do with me. He didn't even know about me in the first place." The story I was told at 14 was that my dad wasn't my biological father. He was the man who married my mom after I was already born. My mom and dad thought at the time that I deserved to know this because a few people in our environment kept saying how I didn't look like him, and I was asking them if I was maybe adopted or something. Yeah, I know. Very little was said about the man my mom got pregnant by, but the basic gist of it was that he didn't care about her being pregnant, didn't want a child in the first place, and then she didn't want anything to do with him any further, so she cut all contact. I won't lie and say I wasn't hurt, but I got over it quickly enough with the help of my mom and dad. Sadly, mom and dad got a divorce last year. They just felt like they didn't love each other that way anymore, I guess. They're still good friends with each other though, no drama, for which I'm grateful. Still, this sort of prompted me to think about my biological father lately, and I ended up looking him up online. I don't know what I expected to see really, but he's just normal, I guess. I might have been thinking he'd have this kind of asshole look to him because of how he rejected me before I was even born. Anyway, one night after drinking more than I should have with some friends on a night out, I did a stupid thing and sent him a message, basically accusing him of being horrible, evil, and using other less polite words because of how he abandoned me. The next morning, after I actually remembered what I did, I saw his reply to me. It was polite but confused. He had no idea who I was or how I'm supposed to be related to him. He concluded by saying that I probably got the wrong person and wished me the best. I don't know, it just pissed me off, even though I was sober. So I fired off several paragraphs to him about who exactly I am, who my mom is, and what he did to us. His reply came in the evening and was quite extensive, but I'll sum it up for you. They broke up on bad terms after being together for a little over a year. He said she never mentioned any pregnancy to him, and when he tried to contact her later because he felt terrible about how it ended, she rebuffed him and blocked him. That was the last time he tried getting in touch with her. Needless to say, my anger toward him disappeared in a flash, and now my father was the one angry at my mom for doing this. I wondered how to talk to my mom about what I found out, but I didn't have to bother because my father contacted her first and confronted her about hiding me from him. We're getting to know each other slowly, mostly over the internet, though we've talked a few times over video chat because he doesn't live in the same country as us. It'll be time soon enough to meet in real life, and I'm nervous as hell. But by all accounts and the way he's talked to me and held back on sharing me with the rest of his family, I think I'm going to like him a lot. Why the hell did she do it? She says she has no idea why she really did this. She blames it on pregnancy and stuff, but I don't see how the pregnancy could have influenced her decision for my whole life. I love her, but there are times when it's just the two of us, and I can't help but hate her for denying both of us a chance to know each other as I grew up. I can tell my father has heard about this, though he doesn't talk about it directly. My mom probably can guess how I feel since she starts tearing up whenever she sees I'm angry or being curt with her. I'm split in half, happy when I'm talking with my father, but furious when I talk to my mom afterward. I want all this to get better, but at the same time, I want her to hurt. What do I do now? User NoNo1000 said, I'd actually suggest that you and your biological father take a DNA test to verify things. Your mother knows why she made the choices she did. It was only 17 years ago. Your dad who raised you might know something too. Did you ask him? User Little Miss Rye said, these kinds of things can become sticky and tricky. I would sit your mom down and talk to her about this. Tell her what you know, express that you're angry, rightfully so, and let her know that you don't want to be angry at her forever, but you don't know how to get past this. To this OP said, I did talk with her, though I'll be the first to admit it was less of a talk and more me just throwing out one question after another with her not answering and crying. I just want to know why, and she's not telling me anything. I asked her if he was abusive to her, if he cheated, or if he did anything to deserve something like this, but no, apparently he didn't do anything wrong. My father says they were just people who clicked poorly at times and didn't communicate well, so it kept escalating until it blew up in their faces. Then again, they were teenagers, so that's no surprise. Update. I found out why she told me the lie that my biological father didn't want me. It's maddeningly simple and stupid. She was basically getting to know my dad, and he wanted to know about my father's involvement in our lives. Put on the spot, she made up this ridiculous story about how he didn't really care about having a child, that they didn't keep in touch, and over the years it evolved into a theater play. My dad, I guess, didn't want to rub salt in the wound, so he just avoided that subject in the future until I asked about it. That's it. That's the whole reason why I didn't know my father for my entire life until recently. No, really, because she didn't want to look like some spiteful, crazy woman who neglected to tell someone they were a father. She made this up. Which is some bitter irony for her because she does look like a crazy and spiteful woman with the lies she told about my father. I am so mad at her. I can still barely control my anger around her. All I want to do is hurt her until she feels as hurt as I was when I found out I missed out on knowing my father all along and him getting to know me as well. I restrain myself more often than not, but god damn, this isn't something that's going to be just pushed aside. I don't know what we'll do, and I know that sometime in the future I'll probably reestablish a good relationship with my mother, but right now it's just not happening. But on the brighter side of things, I met my father. Some people mentioned in the last thread that I should be careful how, when, and where I met him, but given how everyone who knew him back then and now had nothing but good things to say about him, I gave him a few dates when we could meet, and he picked this last weekend. He flew back on Friday, visited his parents, and then we met up. I really don't know what I was expecting. I mean, yes, we talked and he seemed very understanding, kind, and genuinely interested in meeting me, but I guess there was just that messed up fear of him not liking what he actually saw and leaving. It didn't matter in the least. As soon as we met, there was this moment, I don't know how to describe it. I don't really think I've ever had anything like that before. He just hugged me and I could feel him shaking, and I started crying for no real reason. Then we talked and spent the rest of the day together. We pretty much spent the whole weekend together. From the moment I got up, we talked, and by the time he was boarding his flight, I didn't want him to leave ever again. He wanted to know everything about me, and I literally mean everything. What really made me love him was when he asked to meet my dad, checking if that was okay with me, and then thanking him for his part in raising me. They talked some more while I was busy with something else, and I think they became sort of friends. So to all of you who helped me deal with my messed up situation, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Even if it seemed like I was just venting out loud on the internet, thank you. Thank you all. Except for those 1 or 2 people who thought my father is a rapist and an abuser. Seriously, what the f***?